All right, hello and welcome. Today we're looking at something that honestly has the potential to completely reshape your tech portfolio. We're talking about a massive, truly unprecedented supercycle in AI memory. If you think you've already missed the boat on the artificial intelligence boom, well, the data we're about to unpack today suggests that what we've seen so far is literally just the trailer. The main event, it hasn't even started. We are breaking down a really fascinating, highly aggressive new thesis on SK hynix that points to a massive structural shift in global technology. Just a quick heads up before we dive into the numbers, we've put together this explainer based on a recent securities report specifically aimed at foreign investors. We really hope it helps with your own investment decisions. And hey, please make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on these deep dives. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the massive price upgrade. Second, welcome to zero supply. Third, the earnings explosion. Fourth, the future of physical AI. And fifth, valuation and our final verdict. So, starting right off with Section 1, the massive price upgrade and KB Securities' highly bullish thesis. This entire explainer is heavily anchored on a blockbuster May 2026 report from KB Securities. They basically completely rewrote the expectations for the stock, raising their target price to an absolutely astonishing 2.8 million Korean won. To put that into perspective, against a current trading price of roughly 1.88 million won, we're looking at a massive 49% upside. For a mega-cap tech company projecting a near 50% jump, that is a remarkably bold statement. So, you're probably wondering, why? Why such an aggressive upgrade? Well, we need to look at these remarkably bullish pricing assumptions. KB Securities is forecasting that by 2026, the average selling price, or ASP, for DRAM is going to jump by 194% year over year. That's essentially a tripling of prices. And NAND prices? They're expected to surge even more, up 217%. How is that even possible? It comes down to a perfect storm. AI infrastructure investments are just accelerating at a breakneck pace right now, and they require massive amounts of high-bandwidth memory, or HBM. But building memory isn't like writing software. It takes huge physical fabs. This creates a severe structural supply tightness. Basically, earnings are rising way faster than the share price, because memory is suddenly the most valuable real estate in the AI world. Moving on to Section 2, welcome to zero supply, the ultimate memory bottleneck. If you take away just one single concept from today, please make it this, the zero supply dynamic. And this brilliantly illustrates what's going on. On one side, we have exploding AI server demand. Tech giants are buying up AI chips as fast as they can possibly be printed, and those chips desperately need HBM to function. But on the other side, we have severely constrained memory supply. SK hynix is dedicating so much of its manufacturing capacity to producing this complex HBM that it's literally starving the regular high-end DRAM market of supply. And the real kicker here is that meaningful new memory production lines aren't scheduled to come fully online until after 2027. So demand is sprinting and supply is simply physically unable to catch up. This zero supply dynamic is the ultimate bottleneck, and it's giving memory makers unprecedented pricing power.
Which brings us to Section 3, the earnings explosion, specifically looking at the Q2 2026 projections.
Now, what's really interesting here is what happens when you combine that unlimited demand with literally zero excess supply. You get an astonishing leap in scale. For the second quarter of 2026, the projected operating profit is expected to hit 67.3 trillion won. That is a 631% increase year over year. I mean, we're talking about a seven-fold jump. That implies an operating margin of 77.6%. These aren't just good numbers. These are numbers that absolutely crush the current market consensus. Analysts are essentially arguing here that the broader market is just failing to price in the unbelievable leverage SK hynix has right now. And breaking down exactly where that cash is coming from tells a pretty clear story. DRAM, which of course includes HBM, remains the undisputed cash engine for SK hynix, making up 78% of revenue. But do not ignore NAND. At 21%, NAND memory is developing into a highly meaningful turnaround story. It's flipping from a drag on the balance sheet to a massive profit contributor, all because enterprise SSD demand is just surging for AI data centers. Just to ground all these wild numbers for a second, Take a look at the cover of the actual KB Securities report from May 12, 2026. It's titled Memory, the Heart of AI Systems. This is really the foundational text for this whole thesis. It perfectly cements the idea that memory is no longer just some, commodity component you slot into a motherboard. It has become the vital organ, the actual heart, dictating the performance limits of the entire AI system. All right, Section 4, the future, physical AI, moving beyond the trailer. So why will this demand last? Why isn't this just a short-term spike? Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds. Back in 2022, we had AI 1.0, which was generative AI, your text and image bots. Right now, around 2026, we're entering AI 2.0, or Agentic AI. These are systems that can reason, plan, and actually execute tasks autonomously. But the real destination? That's 2028, AI 3.0, physical AI. Think humanoid robots, advanced autonomous driving, real-world robotics. Physical AI requires taking in visual data, language, and spatial awareness simultaneously, processing all of it with zero latency in real time. For that, you need incredibly fast, massive memory right there on the edge device. The compute demands are frankly astronomical, meaning this AI memory cycle is a long-duration secular trend, not just a flash in the pan.
Finally, Section 5, Valuation and Final Verdict. Is it still undervalued?
Knowing all this about the soaring prices and heavily constrained supply, you're probably thinking, has the stock already run up too much? Is it too late? Well, according to the data, no. In fact, it looks surprisingly inexpensive. The current forward price to earnings ratio sits at just 4.8 times. And if we look out into the 2027 estimates, the PE drops to a staggering 3.8 times with a price to book of just 1.8. For a company that is projecting multi-100% profit growth, a PE of 3.8 is remarkably cheap. The big takeaway here is that the broader market is fundamentally underestimating the duration of this AI cycle. They're pricing SK hynix like a traditional cyclical memory stock that's about to peak, rather than what it actually is right now, an AI infrastructure monopoly entering a multi-year supercycle. Of course, as focused learners, we always have to look objectively at the risks, right? On the bull case side, the upside risk is that DRAM and NAND prices actually rise even more aggressively than these already high forecasts, which would drive earnings even further into the stratosphere. But on the bear case side, the main risk to this 2.8 million won target is competition. Specifically, if competitors manage to catch up technologically and steal significant market share in the upcoming HBM4 generation, or if the overall memory price increases just start to cool down and moderate faster than expected. We'll definitely continue to bring you more explainer breakdowns on stocks with upgraded target prices. So please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to catch these opportunities as fast as possible. Please support our channel so we can continue to grow. Your engagement is what helps us bring these institutional-grade insights directly to you. I want to leave you with this final, pivotal thought to chew on. The math clearly points to massive upside, and the industry tailwinds are pretty much undeniable at this point. But the entire thesis hinges on one critical execution metric. Can SK hynix maintain its absolute leadership in HBM memory to fuel this multi-year compounding growth, or will rivals finally crack the code and flood the market? Keep a really close eye on their HBM4 rollout, because that is going to be the ultimate tell. Thank you so much for joining me today, and as always, keep learning.